Do you know who my father is? He runs this city. You work for him." Those words echo through Providence Municipal Court on a Tuesday morning. The woman who says them is standing in front of Judge Frank Caprio. Her name is Sienna Whitmore. She's 23 years old. She has long blonde hair styled in perfect waves. Her nails are done in French tips. She's wearing a cream-colored Channel blazer with gold buttons. Each button probably costs more than a week of groceries for most families. Her handbag is Hermes. The orange box it came in still sits in her closet at home. On her wrist is a Cartier bracelet that catches the light every time she moves her hand. Judge Caprio looks at her. His face is calm. He's seen a lot in his years on the bench, but something about this case bothers him. Something about the way she stands there, like the rules don't apply to her. If you believe justice should be equal for everyone, you'll want to see what happens next. The bailiff calls the case. Case number 2025 Tier 94,412. The City of Providence versus Sienna Whitmore. Illegal parking in a designated handicap space. It sounds simple. Just a parking ticket. But this case is about to become something much bigger. Judge Caprio shuffles the papers in front of him. "Ms. Whitmore, please step forward." Sienna walks to the podium. Her heels click on the floor. Click, click, click. Each step sounds expensive. She doesn't look nervous. She looks annoyed, like this is wasting her time. Before we hear from her, there's someone else in the courtroom. Her name is Rita Alvarez. She's 67 years old. She has gray hair pulled back in a simple bun. She's wearing a Target sweater and jeans. Her hands rest on the arms of a wheelchair. The wheelchair is old. The padding on the armrests is worn thin from years of use. Rita works as a medical transcriptionist. She types doctor's notes from home. She's been doing it for 22 years, ever since the car accident that damaged her spine. She makes about $32,000 a year. Every penny matters. She has a grandson. His name is Miguel. He's 8. Rita raises him because his parents can't. She uses her small salary to feed him, clothe him, and keep a roof over their heads. Rita is here today because 3 weeks ago she had a doctor's appointment. The parking lot at the medical building was full. All the regular spots were taken, but there were handicapped spaces, spaces for people like her, spaces with the blue signs and the wheelchair symbols painted on the ground. Except one wasn't empty. A silver Mercedes SUV sat in it. A brand new G-Wagon, the kind that costs $150,000. There was no handicap placard hanging from the mirror, no special license plate, just an SUV taking up space that wasn't meant for it. Rita had to park 3 blocks away, in the rain. She wheeled herself through puddles. Her clothes got soaked. She arrived at her appointment 20 minutes late. Her doctor's office charged her a $75 late fee, money she didn't have. When she wheeled back to her car after the appointment, the Mercedes was still there. A parking enforcement officer was writing a ticket. Rita waited. She wanted to see who owned the car. That's when Sienna came out. Designer shopping bags in both hands. She'd been at the boutique next door, shopping while Rita struggled in the rain. Judge Caprio doesn't know all of this yet, but he's about to find out. "Ms. Whitmore," he begins, "you're here today because you parked in a handicapped space without proper authorization. The fine is $275. However, I like to hear from people before I make my decision. Can you tell me what happened that day?" Sienna sighs. She actually sighs, like being asked to explain herself is exhausting. "Your Honor, I was only there for like 10 minutes. Maybe 15 tops. I had to pick up a dress for an event. The store was right there. All the other spots were far away. I didn't think it was a big deal." Judge Caprio writes something down. "Did you see the sign? The blue wheelchair symbol painted on the ground?" "I mean, yeah, I saw it. But like I said, I was super quick. And honestly, no one was using it when I got there." People in the courtroom shift in their seats. An older man in the back row shakes his head. "Ms. Whitmore, those spaces aren't for convenience. They're designated for people with disabilities who need them." Sienna shrugs. Actually shrugs. "I get that. But I didn't see anyone who needed it. So what's the harm?" Judge Caprio's pen stops moving. He looks up at her. "What's the harm?" "Yeah, like, if no one was using it, then me parking there for a few minutes didn't hurt anyone." The judge leans back in his chair. Ms. Whitmore, let me introduce you to someone. Mrs. Rita Alvarez, would you please come forward? Rita wheels herself toward the front. Her wheelchair makes a small squeaking sound. One of the wheels needs oil. She can't afford to get it fixed right now. Sienna glances at Rita, then looks away, like looking at her is uncomfortable. Mrs. Alvarez, Judge Caprio says gently, "Can you tell us what happened that day?" Rita's voice is soft but steady. "I had a doctor's appointment for my back. I've had chronic pain since my accident. I go every month. That day, it was raining. I drove to the medical building. I went to park in the handicap space, but there was a car there, a big silver SUV. I had to find another spot. The closest one was 3 blocks away." She pauses. Her hands grip the armrests of her wheelchair. "I wheeled myself through the rain. My clothes got soaked. The wheels of my chair got stuck in a puddle. I had to rock back and forth to get free. By the time I got to my appointment, I was late. They charged me $75 for being late. That's a lot of money for me. I'm raising my grandson on my salary. We need every dollar." The courtroom is quiet, the kind of quiet where you can hear people breathing. Rita continues, "When I came back after my appointment, that SUV was still there. That's when I realized whoever parked there wasn't just running in quick. They were shopping, taking their time, while I suffered." Sienna's face changes, just for a second, a flicker of something. Discomfort maybe, but then it's gone. Judge Caprio thanks Rita. She wheels back to her seat. "Ms. Whitmore, do you have anything to say to Mrs. Alvarez?" Sienna clears her throat. "Look, I'm sorry she had a hard time, but I didn't know anyone needed the spot. How was I supposed to know? The sign that says handicapped parking only might have been a clue." Judge Caprio says, his voice is patient but firm. "Okay, but everyone does it. People park in those spots all the time for just a minute. Does everyone doing something make it right?" Sienna doesn't answer. Judge Caprio looks at the file in front of him. "Ms. Whitmore, I see here that this isn't your first offense. You have 3 prior parking violations in the past year, 2 for parking in fire lanes, 1 for blocking a crosswalk. Those were different. I paid those tickets. So you think as long as you pay the fine, you can park wherever you want? I mean, isn't that how it works? You park illegally, you get a ticket, you pay it. It's basically like paying for parking." Whispers spread through the courtroom. A woman in the 3rd row leans to her husband. Did she really just say that? Judge Caprio takes off his glasses. He cleans them with a cloth from his desk. He does this when he's thinking, when he's trying to find the right words. "Ms. Whitmore, let me ask you something. Do you understand why handicapped parking spaces exist? For people with disabilities." "Yes, but do you understand why they're close to entrances? Why they're wider than regular spaces? Why we protect them with heavy fines?" Sienna shifts her weight from one foot to the other, I guess to make things easier for them. Not easier. Possible. For some people, those spaces make the difference between being able to access a building or not. Between living independently or being trapped. Mrs. Alvarez had to wheel herself 3 blocks in the rain because you wanted to save yourself a short walk. "Okay, I get it. I'm sorry. I'll pay the fine. Can we wrap this up?" The courtroom goes still. Even the clerk stops typing. Judge Caprio puts his glasses back on. "Can we wrap this up? Ms. Whitmore, do you think this is about the money? Isn't it? I mean, that's why I'm here. To pay the fine. You're here because you broke the law. You're here because your actions had consequences. Real consequences for a real person." Sienna's lawyer, a man in an expensive suit, leans forward. "Your Honor, my client is willing to pay the maximum fine and accept responsibility." "I appreciate that, counselor, but I'm not finished." Judge Caprio turns back to Sienna. "Ms. Whitmore, I understand your father is Vice Mayor Kevin Whitmore. Is that correct?" "Yes." "Has your father's position ever influenced how you view yourself in relation to rules and laws?" Sienna's eyes narrow. "What does my dad have to do with this?" "I'm asking if you believe your family's status puts you above certain laws." "No, I don't think that." "But you parked in a handicapped space knowing it was illegal." "I told you I was in a hurry." "You've done it before. Multiple parking violations. Each time you paid the fine and moved on. No real consequence. No lesson learned. Sienna's cheeks flush red. So what? You want me to beg for forgiveness? I said, I'm sorry. I'll pay whatever. This is ridiculous. Judge Caprio's eyebrows raise. Ridiculous. Yeah, it's a parking ticket. You're acting like I committed murder or something. The lawyer puts his hand on Sienna's arm. Ms. Whitmore, please. She shakes him off. No, this is insane. My dad isn't going to be happy about this. And there it is. The threat. The implication. The suggestion that her father's position matters more than the law. Judge Caprio writes something down. His face shows nothing, but anyone who knows him can see the slight tightening around his eyes. Ms. Whitmore, are you suggesting that your father's position as vice mayor should affect how this court handles your case? I'm just saying he's not going to like how you're treating me. How I'm treating you? I've been respectful and patient. I've given you every opportunity to explain yourself. What exactly is unfair about that? Sienna realizes she said too much. She tries to backtrack. That's not what I meant. Then what did you mean? Just forget it. Can I just pay the fine and leave? Judge Caprio closes the folder. No, you can't. Sienna blinks. What? This case requires more than a fine. But before I make my decision, I want to review the evidence. Officer Martinez, please approach. A parking enforcement officer stands. His name is Carlos Martinez. He's 44 years old. He's worked this job for 12 years. He takes it seriously. Every ticket he writes fairly. Officer Martinez, can you walk us through what you observed that day? Officer Martinez pulls out a small notebook. Yes, Your Honor. On November 3rd at approximately 2:15 p.m., I was conducting routine parking enforcement on Thayer Street. I observed a silver Mercedes G-Wagon license plate ROLPRTY parked in a designated handicapped space in front of 847 Thayer Street. I checked for visible handicapped placards or special license plates. There were none. What did you do next? I approached the vehicle to confirm the violation. I took photographs of the vehicle in the space, the handicap sign, and the painted symbol on the ground. I also photographed the dashboard area showing no placard. At that time, I noticed Mrs. Alvarez waiting nearby in her wheelchair. She appeared distressed. Did you speak with her? Yes. She explained she needed that space and had been forced to park several blocks away. She said she'd arrived late to her appointment because of it. She was visibly wet from the rain. Officer Martinez flips a page in his notebook. At 2:47 p.m., the registered owner of the vehicle, Ms. Sienna Whitmore, approached. She was carrying multiple shopping bags from boutiques on the street. I asked if she was aware she'd parked in a handicap space. She said yes, but that she was only there for a second. Did she seem remorseful? Not particularly, Your Honor. She asked how much the ticket was. When I told her $275, she pulled out her wallet and said, "Whatever, I'll just pay it now." She tried to hand me cash. Judge Caprio looks at Sienna. Is that accurate? Sienna's face is red now. I was trying to be helpful. I thought if I paid immediately, we could avoid all this. You thought you could pay your way out of consequences. That's not what I meant. Officer Martinez, did you accept the cash? No, Your Honor. That's not how parking violations work. I explained she'd receive a ticket in the mail with payment instructions. She became frustrated and said, "This is so stupid. It's just a parking spot." Judge Caprio nods. Thank you, Officer Martinez. The officer returns to his seat. Ms. Whitmore, I'm also going to review the photographs taken that day. Judge Caprio picks up several photos from his desk. These show your vehicle clearly parked in the handicap space. The sign is visible. The ground marking is visible. There's no question about what you did. He holds up another photo. This one shows Mrs. Alvarez in the background. You can see her wheelchair. You can see the rain. The timestamp shows this was taken while you were still shopping. Sienna looks at the floor. I also have a record of your previous violations. He picks up another paper. October 12th, you parked in a fire lane outside a restaurant. You told the officer you were just picking up takeout. September 3rd, another fire lane violation outside a nail salon. July 28th, you blocked a marked crosswalk. In each case, You paid the fine online and continued on with your life. I paid every ticket, Sienna says defensively. Yes, you did, because money isn't a consequence for you. A $275 fine is nothing. You spent more than that shopping the day you got this ticket. So what? I'm not allowed to shop now? You're missing the point. The point is that financial penalties don't work on people like you. They don't change behavior. They're just a minor inconvenience. A tax you pay for doing whatever you want. Sienna crosses her arms. So what do you want from me? I want you to understand what you did. I want you to feel the weight of your actions. I want you to see that your choices affect real people in real ways. Fine, I understand. Can I go now? The courtroom is tense. People lean forward. They sense something is coming. Judge Caprio shakes his head. Ms. Whitmore, you don't understand, but you will. Sienna's lawyer stands. Your Honor, if I may. You may not. Sit down, counselor. The lawyer sits. Judge Caprio looks at Sienna, really looks at her, like he's trying to see past the expensive clothes and the entitled attitude, trying to find something redeemable underneath. Ms. Whitmore, has anyone ever told you no? Has anyone ever held you accountable in a way that actually mattered? Of course people have told me no. But have they enforced it? Or did you get your way eventually because of who your father is? Sienna doesn't answer. I'm going to share something with you. I've been a judge for many years. I've seen thousands of cases. I've seen people from all walks of life. Rich, poor, and everything in between. And you know what I've learned. Money doesn't determine character. Actions do. Choices do. How you treat people when no one is watching. That's who you really are. He pauses. Lets the words sink in. You had a choice that day. You could have parked in a regular space and walked a little farther, but you chose convenience over compassion. You chose your time over someone else's need. And when you were caught, you tried to throw money at the problem. When that didn't work, you invoked your father's name like it was a shield. Sienna's jaw tightens. I didn't invoke anything. My dad isn't going to be happy about this. Those were your words. What did you mean by them? Nothing. I just mean. You meant that you expect special treatment. You meant that consequences are for other people, not for you. That's not true. Judge Caprio's voice remains calm. Steady. Then prove it. What? Prove me wrong. Show me that you're capable of taking responsibility. Show me that you understand what your actions mean. Sienna looks confused. How? By accepting the sentence I'm about to give you. The word sentence hangs in the air. This isn't just about a fine anymore. Before I announce my decision, I want to make something clear. This court operates on principles of fairness and equality. It doesn't matter if your father is vice mayor or if your family has money or connections. And here, everyone is equal. Everyone faces the same justice. He picks up his gavel, not to strike it, just to hold it. Ms. Whitmore, I've thought carefully about this case, about what punishment fits the crime, about what might actually teach you something. A fine won't work. We've established that. Jail time would be excessive for a parking violation, so I've decided on something different. Sienna stands very still. First, you will pay the full fine of $275. That goes to the city. Fine. Done. I'm not finished. Second, your driver's license is suspended for 90 days. Sienna's eyes go wide. What? You can't do that. I am. For 90 days, you will not drive. You'll take the bus. You'll walk. You'll experience transportation the way most people do. This is insane. How am I supposed to get around? The same way Mrs. Alvarez does. The same way millions of people do every day. You'll figure it out. Her lawyer starts to stand. Judge Caprio holds up his hand. The lawyer sits back down. Third, and most important, you will complete 200 hours of community service. 200 hours? That's like a month of work. It's exactly 200 hours, and I'm going to tell you where you'll do those hours. You're going to volunteer at the Community Disability Resource Center here in Providence. The courtroom erupts in whispers. This is unexpected. This is creative. Sienna's face goes pale. You want me to work at a disability center? Not just work. Volunteer. You'll be helping people with disabilities navigate their daily lives. You'll assist with wheelchair maintenance. You'll help organize adaptive equipment. You'll support people who rely on spaces and resources that you took for granted. I don't know anything about that stuff. Then you'll learn, that's the point. Judge Caprio picks up a piece of paper. Let me be specific about what your service will entail. You'll report to the center every Saturday and Sunday for the next 25 weeks. That's 6 months of weekends, from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. No exceptions unless you have a medical emergency, which must be documented. Sienna looks like she might cry, or scream. Maybe both. During your time there, you'll be supervised by the center director, Janet Morrison. She'll assign you tasks. You'll clean wheelchairs. You'll help repair mobility equipment. You'll assist in workshops teaching people how to advocate for accessibility. You'll accompany clients on outings and experience firsthand what it's like to navigate a world not designed for them. This is humiliating. No, this is education. Humiliation would be putting you in stocks in the public square. I'm giving you an opportunity to grow. Judge Caprio isn't done. Fourth, you'll write a handwritten apology to Mrs. Alvarez. Not typed, not dictated to an assistant. Handwritten by you. It must be at least 1 full page. You'll deliver it to her in person at the courthouse in 30 days. Handwritten? Who does that anymore? People who actually mean what they're saying. People who put effort into their apologies. Fine. Anything else? Her voice drips with sarcasm. Yes, you'll also create a public service announcement about disability parking rights. You'll work with the center to produce a 2-minute video explaining why handicapped spaces matter and what the consequences are for misusing them. This video will be shared with local schools and community organizations. Your face will be in it. Your name will be attached to it. Sienna's hands are shaking now. You're trying to ruin my life. I'm trying to improve it. I'm trying to make you a better person. But I can see you're not ready to hear that yet. Judge Caprio takes a breath. And one more thing. You will attend a victim impact panel. Once a month for 6 months, you'll sit in a room with people who have been affected by the kinds of violations you've committed. You'll hear their stories. You'll see their struggles. And you will not speak. You will only listen. He sets down his pen, folds his hands. Ms. Whitmore, I know this seems harsh to you. I know you think I'm being unfair. But let me tell you something. Life is going to be very difficult for you if you continue on this path. Your father won't always be there to protect you. Your money won't always solve your problems. At some point, you're going to face a situation where being vice mayor's daughter doesn't matter, where your checkbook can't help you. And on that day, you're going to wish someone had taught you these lessons sooner. Sienna's voice cracks. You're doing this because of who my father is. You're making an example of me. I'm doing this because of who you are, or rather, who you've shown yourself to be. This has nothing to do with your father. This has everything to do with your choices. I want to appeal. That's your right, but the sentence stands while the appeal is pending. And I should warn you, appellate courts typically uphold creative sentencing in cases involving repeated offenses and lack of remorse. Her lawyer speaks up. Your Honor, with respect, 200 hours seems excessive for a parking violation. Does it? Let's do some math. Mrs. Alvarez had to park 3 blocks away. That's roughly a quarter mile. She wheeled herself there and back, half a mile total, in the rain, with a damaged spine. That probably took her 30 minutes each way, 1 hour total. She was charged a $75 late fee. She makes about $15 an hour at her job, so that violation cost her 6 hours of work to make up the money, plus the hour of physical pain. 7 hours total. Ms. Whitmore has 4 violations. 4 times 7 is 28 hours of impact on others. I'm asking for 200 hours of service. That seems more than fair. The lawyer has no response. Judge Caprio turns back to Sienna. Do you have anything you'd like to say before I finalize this sentence? Sienna is breathing hard. Her perfect makeup is starting to run. A tear has escaped. She's fighting it, fighting to maintain control. This isn't fair, she whispers. Life isn't fair, Ms. Whitmore. Mrs. Alvarez's accident wasn't fair. Her struggles aren't fair. Her grandson growing up in poverty isn't fair. But we do our best with what we have. We try to be decent to each other. We try to make things a little less unfair when we can. You made things more unfair. Now you're being asked to balance the scales. He picks up his gavel. The sentence is as follows: $275 fine, 90-day license suspension, 200 hours of community service at the Community Disability Resource Center, a handwritten apology to be delivered in person, creation of a public service announcement, and attendance at 6 victim impact panels. Do you understand? Sienna nods. She can't speak. I need to hear you say it. I understand. Her voice is barely audible. This court is adjourned. Judge Caprio strikes the gavel. Sienna stands there, frozen. Her lawyer touches her elbow. She doesn't move. People in the courtroom are talking. Some look satisfied. Some look shocked. An elderly woman in the back smiles. A young man nods his approval. Rita Alvarez wheels herself toward the exit. As she passes Sienna, she pauses, looks up at her. I hope you learned something, Rita says quietly. Then she's gone. Sienna watches her go. The weight of everything is starting to hit. 200 hours. 6 months of weekends. No driving for 3 months. A public apology. A video of her face and name. Her phone buzzes in her purse. She pulls it out. It's her father, the vice mayor. She doesn't answer. She can't talk to him right now. Can't explain this. Can't tell him that for once, his position didn't protect her. She leaves the courtroom with her head down, no longer clicking confidently, now shuffling, defeated. But this is just the beginning. 3 weeks pass. Sienna reports to the Community Disability Resource Center for her first day of service. She's wearing jeans and a plain t-shirt. No designer brands, no jewelry. She was told to dress for physical work. The center is located in a renovated warehouse. Inside, it's bright and clean. There are workstations with tools, wheelchairs in various states of repair, walkers, canes, adaptive equipment she doesn't recognize. Janet Morrison meets her at the door. Janet is 52 years old. She's been running the center for 15 years. She's no nonsense but kind. She's dealt with court-ordered volunteers before. Some learn, some don't. She'll wait and see which kind Sienna is. You must be Sienna. Yes. I'm Janet. I'll be supervising your service. Follow me. They walk through the center. Janet explains what they do. We serve about 300 people in the community. We repair and maintain mobility equipment. We teach advocacy skills. We help people navigate a world that often forgets they exist. Sienna doesn't say anything. Your first job is over here. Janet leads her to a workstation covered in wheelchairs. These chairs need cleaning and maintenance. You'll wipe them down, check the wheels, oil the moving parts, and test the brakes. I'll show you how. For the next 6 hours, Sienna cleans wheelchairs. Her hands get dirty. Her back hurts from bending over. She breaks 2 nails. By the end of the day, she's exhausted. Same time next week, Janet says as Sienna leaves. The second week is harder. Janet assigns her to help with adaptive equipment sorting. Heavy boxes. Dusty storage rooms. Sienna sneezes constantly. Her expensive gym membership isn't preparing her for this kind of physical work. On the 3rd week, Janet switches things up. Today you're going to shadow Marcus. Marcus is 35 years old. He's been in a wheelchair since a motorcycle accident when he was 19. He's one of the center's clients and also volunteers there. He helps new wheelchair users learn how to navigate the world. We're going downtown, Marcus says. I'll show you what my day looks like. They take the bus. Sienna has never taken a bus before. She doesn't know how to pay. Marcus shows her. They sit in the designated wheelchair area. People stare, not at Marcus, at her, the girl sitting next to the wheelchair. You get used to the stairs, Marcus says. Downtown, they go to a coffee shop. The entrance has 2 steps. No ramp. This happens a lot, Marcus explains. Businesses don't always think about accessibility. They find another coffee shop. This one has a ramp, but inside, the bathroom door is too narrow for his wheelchair. Another common problem. They try to cross the street. The curb cut is blocked by a parked car. Marcus has to wheel into the street to get around it. A car honks. The driver yells something. Sienna feels her face get hot. That's not fair. No, Marcus agrees. It's not. They go to a restaurant for lunch. The The hostess tries to seat them at a table, but there's not enough room for Marcus's wheelchair to fit. They have to rearrange 3 tables. Everyone in the restaurant watches. Sienna wants to disappear. "Does this happen every time you eat out?" she asks. "Pretty much." After lunch, they go to the library. The accessible entrance is around back, through an alley, past the dumpsters. "Why isn't it in front?" Sienna asks. "Because we're an afterthought," Marcus says simply. On the bus ride back, Sienna is quiet. She's thinking about the parking space, the handicap spot she used, how close it was to the entrance, how convenient it was for her. But for someone like Marcus, it wasn't about convenience. It was about access. It was about being able to participate in normal life. The 4th week, Janet assigns her to wheelchair repair. A man named Deshawn teaches her. He's 28. He was born with cerebral palsy. He's brilliant with mechanical things. "This chair belongs to a 7-year-old girl," Deshawn explains. "Her name is Aisha. She uses it to get around school, but the brakes are failing. If we don't fix them, she could roll backward down a ramp. She could get hurt." Sienna holds the small wrench carefully. "Show me what to do." Deshawn walks her through it, adjusting the brake tension, testing it, making sure it holds. "There," he says when they're done. "Now Aisha will be safe." Sienna looks at the small wheelchair. Pink, with stickers on the back. A little girl depends on this. A little girl whose world is limited by what her equipment can do. "How many kids do you help?" Sienna asks. "About 40 kids come through here regularly. Some have chairs, some have walkers, some have other equipment. All of them need maintenance. All of them need someone to care." Sienna spends the rest of the day helping Deshawn fix equipment. A walker with a loose handle. A cane with a worn rubber tip. A shower chair with a cracked seat. Each piece of equipment represents a person, a life, a story. By week 8, something has shifted in Sienna. She arrives on time now. Sometimes early. She asks questions. She learns names. There's Patricia, 73, who volunteers in the office. She had polio as a child. She's been using braces and crutches her whole life. There's Jordan, 42, a veteran who lost his legs in Afghanistan. He teaches wheelchair basketball to kids on Thursday nights. There's Yuki, 26, who has muscular dystrophy. She's studying to be a social worker. She uses a motorized wheelchair. The battery needs charging every night. Sienna starts to see them not as disabled people, but as people. People with jobs, hobbies, families, dreams. People who face barriers every single day that she never noticed. One Saturday, Janet asks Sienna to help with an accessibility audit. They go to different businesses in the neighborhood and check how accessible they are. "Count the steps at the entrance," Janet instructs. "Check if there's a ramp. Is the door wide enough for a wheelchair? Is there accessible parking? Are the bathrooms accessible?" They visit 12 businesses. Only 3 are fully accessible. The rest have at least one barrier, often more. "Do the owners know?" Sienna asks. "Some do, some don't care. Some care but can't afford renovations. It's complicated." "But it's the law, right? The ADA?" "Yes, but enforcement is complaint-based. People with disabilities have to file complaints. Many don't want to make waves. They just avoid places they can't access." Sienna thinks about all the restaurants she's been to. Shops. Cafes. She never once thought about whether someone in a wheelchair could enter. She never had to. On week 12, she's halfway through her service hours. Janet calls her into the office. "Sienna, I want to talk to you about your progress." Sienna's stomach drops. Is she in trouble? Is Janet going to report that she's not doing enough? "You've impressed me," Janet says. Sienna blinks. "I have?" "When you first arrived, I didn't have high hopes. Court-ordered volunteers often do the minimum. But you've shown up. You've worked hard. You've asked questions. You're learning." "I didn't know," Sienna says quietly. "I didn't know how hard it was, how many barriers there are. I never thought about it." Most people don't. That's the problem. Disability is invisible to people who don't experience it. Barriers are invisible to people who don't face them. Janet leans forward. "But here's the thing. Now you know, you can't unknow it. So the question is, what are you going to do with that knowledge?" Sienna doesn't have an answer yet. The weeks continue. Sienna helps organize a workshop on disability rights. She assists with a fundraiser to buy new wheelchairs for kids who've outgrown their current ones. She accompanies clients to medical appointments and sees how doctors sometimes talk over them, addressing family members instead. She sees how stores put merchandise too high for wheelchair users to reach, how restaurants place tables too close together, how hotels claim to be accessible but have bathtubs that are impossible to transfer into. She sees a million small ways the world says, "You don't belong here," and she starts to feel angry about it. Not defensive angry, righteous angry, the kind of angry that wants to fix things. By week 20, Sienna has completed 160 hours. She has 5 more weekends left. Janet assigns her to work with Rita Alvarez. Yes, that Rita Alvarez. Rita volunteers here on Saturday afternoons, Janet explains. She helps other people with disabilities navigate the Social Security system. She's been doing it for years. You'll assist her. When Sienna sees Rita, her face burns with shame. The last time they saw each other was in court, when Sienna was arrogant and entitled, when she couldn't even apologize properly. "Hello, Sienna," Rita says. Her voice is neutral, not warm, not cold, just neutral. "Hi, Mrs. Alvarez. Aye, it's good to see you." "Is it?" Sienna doesn't know what to say. Rita wheels to a small office. "Come on, we have work to do." For the next 6 hours, Sienna watches Rita help 5 different people fill out disability applications. Each person has a story. Each story breaks her heart. A man who can't work because of chronic pain, but whose disability claim was denied. A woman whose benefits were cut off because she tried to work part-time. A father whose son has autism and needs special services the school district won't provide. Rita knows every form, every rule, every loophole. She fights for these people with patience and determination. "Why do you do this?" Sienna asks during a break. "Because someone helped me once. When I was first injured, I didn't know how to navigate the system. A volunteer at a center like this one helped me figure it out. I'm paying it forward." "But you don't get paid." "No. I do it because it matters. Because these people need someone in their corner." Sienna is quiet for a moment. "Mrs. Alvarez, I need to tell you something." Rita looks at her. "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry for what I did. For parking in that spot. For making you struggle. For being so..." She searches for the word. "Ignorant, selfish, cruel." Rita doesn't speak right away. She studies Sienna's face. "Do you mean that?" "Yes, I really do. I didn't understand before. I thought it was just a parking spot. Just a rule. But it's not. It's access. It's dignity. It's the difference between being included and being shut out." Rita's expression softens slightly. "Thank you for saying that. I know saying it doesn't fix what I did. But I want you to know that I'm different now. I see things differently. And I'm going to do better." "Then show me. Don't just tell me. Show me through your actions." "I will," Sienna promises. The final weeks arrive. Sienna completes her 200 hours. But something interesting happens. She asks Janet if she can keep volunteering. "You're done with your court order," Janet says, surprised. "I know, but I want to keep helping. Maybe not every weekend, but once a month? Or whenever you need extra hands." Janet smiles. "We'd love that." On the day of her final court appearance, Sienna returns to Judge Caprio's courtroom. She's nervous. She's completed everything he asked, but she doesn't know what he'll say. The courtroom is less crowded this time, but Rita is there. Marcus is there. Deshawn is there. Janet is there. They came to support her. Judge Caprio enters. Everyone stands. "Ms. Whitmore, please approach." Sienna walks to the podium. She's wearing simple clothes. No designer labels. Her hair is pulled back in a ponytail. She looks younger, humbler. "I've received reports from the Community Disability Resource Center. Janet Morrison has provided detailed accounts of your service. She speaks highly of you." "Thank you, Your Honor." "Tell me, Ms. Whitmore, what did you learn?" Sienna takes a breath. "I learned that I was living in a bubble. I never thought about how my actions affected other people. I never considered what it was like to be someone else, someone who faces challenges I can't even imagine. She continues, I learned that disability isn't about being broken or less than. It's about facing a world that wasn't built for you. And I learned that small acts of selfishness, like parking in a handicap spot, aren't small at all. They're huge. They tell people they don't matter, that their needs aren't important. Judge Caprio nods. What else? I learned about humility, about service, about showing up and doing work that matters even when no one's watching, even when you don't get anything out of it except the knowledge that you helped someone. And what will you do with these lessons? I'm going to keep volunteering at the center. I'm going to speak up when I see accessibility problems. I'm going to use whatever privilege I have to advocate for people who deserve better. Judge Caprio looks at her for a long moment. Ms. Whitmore, when you stood in this courtroom 6 months ago, you were angry, entitled. You believed the rules didn't apply to you. Today, I see someone different, someone who's grown. I'm trying your honor. I can see that. And I'm going to do something I don't do often. I'm going to acknowledge that my sentence worked. You didn't just serve your hours. You opened your mind. You changed. Sienna feels tears prick her eyes. Your license suspension is lifted as of today. Your community service is complete. Your obligations to this court are fulfilled. Thank you. But Ms. Whitmore, let me be clear. This isn't the end. This is the beginning. You have a choice now. You can go back to your old life, your old habits, or you can continue on this new path, the path of awareness and advocacy and service. I choose the new path. Then I wish you well, and I hope I never see you in this courtroom again. You won't, Your Honor, I promise. Judge Caprio strikes his gavel. Case dismissed. Sienna turns around. Rita is smiling. Not a huge smile, but a real one. Sienna walks to her. Mrs. Alvarez, I wrote you something. She pulls an envelope from her bag. Inside is a handwritten letter. 3 pages. Every word from her heart. Rita takes it. Thank you, Sienna. Can I give you something else? What? This. Sienna hands her a check. $275. That's what the late fee and parking ticket would have cost you if I had parked legally that day. I know it doesn't fix everything, but I want you to have it. Rita's eyes widen. Sienna, you don't have to. Please, let me do this. Rita takes the check. Thank you. They hug. It's brief but genuine. Marcus wheels over. Proud of you, kid. Thanks, Marcus, for teaching me, for being patient. You did the work. Don't forget that. Janet approaches. So, once a month? At least, Sienna says, maybe more. Outside the courthouse, Sienna stands in the sunshine. She pulls out her phone, calls her father. Dad, hi. Can we talk? Sienna, I heard about the case. Are you okay? I'm more than okay. I'm different. I learned things. And I want to talk to you about accessibility in Providence, about city buildings, public spaces. I think we can do better. There's a pause. I'd like to hear your ideas. Great, because I have a lot of them. She hangs up and starts walking. She doesn't call an Uber, doesn't look for her car. She walks to the bus stop, waits with everyone else, hits on when it arrives. She sits by the window and watches the city pass by. She sees the curb cuts, the accessible parking spots, the ramps and automatic doors, things she never noticed before. And she makes a promise to herself. She'll never stop noticing. She'll never stop caring. She'll never take her privilege for granted again. Because privilege isn't bad, but pretending you don't have it, that's the problem. And using it only for yourself, that's worse. The real power of privilege is using it to lift others up, to open doors, to remove barriers, to make the world a little more accessible for everyone. 6 months after the final court appearance, Sienna is sitting in a city council meeting. She's wearing a professional dress. She's prepared a presentation. She's nervous but determined. Members of the council, my name is Sienna Whitmore. I'm here today to propose the Providence Accessibility Initiative. She clicks to the first slide. 6 months ago, I made a mistake. I parked in a handicap spot because it was convenient. I didn't think about who I was hurting. But thanks to Judge Caprio's creative sentencing, I spent 200 hours working at the Community Disability Resource Center. I learned more in those 200 hours than I did in 4 years of college. Click. Next slide. I learned that our city has 847 publicly accessible buildings. Of those, only 62% are fully ADA compliant. That means 38% have at least one accessibility barrier. Barriers that prevent people with disabilities from full participation in civic life. She shows photos. Buildings with steps but no ramps. Bathrooms too small for wheelchairs. Parking lots without adequate accessible spaces. I'm proposing a 3-year plan to audit and upgrade all city buildings. I'm proposing partnerships with local businesses to improve private sector accessibility. And I'm proposing an educational campaign to help people understand why this matters. She looks at the council members. Some look interested. Some look skeptical. One is scrolling on his phone. I know this will cost money. I've included a budget proposal, but I believe the cost of doing nothing is higher. The cost is measured in citizens who can't access their government, students who can't attend public schools, workers who can't apply for city jobs, people who are pushed to the margins because we didn't plan for them. She clicks to her final slide. 1 in 4 adults in the United States has a disability. That's 661 million people. In Providence, that's roughly 45,000 residents. We have a responsibility to them. Not because the law says so, but because it's right. She closes her laptop. Thank you for your time. I'm happy to answer questions. The council chair speaks. Ms. Whitmore, this is impressive work. We'll review your proposal and schedule a follow-up discussion. It's not a yes, but it's not a no. Sienna leaves the meeting with her head high. She's done what she can. Now she waits. 3 months later, the council approves a pilot program. 5 city buildings will be audited and upgraded. It's not everything Sienna proposed, but it's a start. She celebrates by volunteering at the center, same as she does every month. She's there when Aisha, the 7-year-old with the pink wheelchair, comes in for a replacement chair. She's grown. She needs a bigger one. Can I pick the color? Aisha asks. Any color you want, Sienna says. Purple. Purple it is. Sienna helps fit the chair, adjusts the footrests, tests the brakes. When Aisha wheels away, spinning in circles and laughing, Sienna feels something she never felt spending money or getting her way. She feels useful. She feels purposeful. She feels like she matters in a way that has nothing to do with her last name or her bank account. That night, she's at dinner with her father, the vice mayor. I'm proud of you, he says. Thanks, Dad. You know, I was angry when that judge sentenced you. I thought he was being harsh, making an example of you because of who I am. He wasn't. He was holding me accountable because of who I am, or who I was. Her father nods slowly. You've changed. I hope so. No, I can see it. The way you talk. The things you care about. You're not the girl who parked in that handicapped space anymore. No, Sienna agrees. I'm not. Who are you now? Sienna thinks about it. I'm someone who shows up. I'm someone who listens. I'm someone who uses what I have to help others. That's who I want to be. Then I'm glad you got that parking ticket. Sienna laughs. Me too. As weird as that sounds. Her father reaches across the table and squeezes her hand. Keep going. Keep pushing for change. I'll support you. Thanks, Dad. That means a lot. Years pass. The Providence Accessibility Initiative expands. More buildings are upgraded. More businesses participate. The culture starts to shift. Sienna finishes college. Starts a nonprofit focused on accessibility advocacy. Hires Marcus as her first employee. Brings on Deshawn as a consultant. Puts Rita on her board of directors. She speaks at schools, at conferences, on panels. She tells her story, not because she's proud of what she did, but because she's not ashamed of what she learned. I was 23 years old when I parked in that handicapped spot, she says at a TEDx talk 5 years later. I was selfish, entitled, and ignorant. I thought the world revolved around me. And then I met a judge who cared more about teaching me than punishing me. He gave me a gift, the gift of perspective. She shows a slide of the center, of the people she's worked with. These people changed my life. They showed me what resilience looks like, what strength means, what community can accomplish when people show up for each other. She pauses, makes eye contact with the audience. Here's what I want you to understand. Disability is not a personal tragedy. It's a social justice issue. When we fail to build accessible spaces, we're making a choice. We're choosing to exclude people. And that's on us, not them. Another slide. The city before and after accessibility upgrades. Change is possible, but it requires us to open our eyes, to see the barriers we've ignored, to listen to people who've been telling us about problems we've never experienced, and then to act. She ends with this. I'm grateful for that parking ticket. I'm grateful for Judge Caprio's wisdom. I'm grateful for 200 hours that changed the trajectory of my life, because I learned that true privilege isn't having money or connections or power. True privilege is having the opportunity to learn, to grow, and to use whatever resources you have to make the world a little bit better for someone else. The audience stands, applauds. Some people are crying. After the talk, a young woman approaches. She's in a wheelchair. Thank you, the woman says. Thank you for using your platform, for caring. Thank you for being here, Sienna responds. Your presence matters. Can I tell you something? Of course. 5 years ago, I couldn't have gotten into this venue. The entrance had stairs, no ramp, but when they announced this TEDx, they made sure it was accessible. Because of work your nonprofit did, because you pushed for change. Sienna's eyes fill with tears. That's exactly why we do this work. So thank you, really. They hug, and Sienna thinks about how far she's come. From the girl who took up a handicapped space to the woman who fights for access. From someone who thought only about herself to someone who shows up for others. She thinks about Judge Caprio. She should visit him. Thank him again. Tell him how his sentence didn't just change her behavior, it changed her heart. The next week, she goes to the courthouse. Judge Caprio is still there, still presiding, still teaching lessons. Your Honor, do you have a minute? He looks up, recognizes her. Ms. Whitmore, come in. She sits in his chambers. I wanted to update you, tell you what I've been doing. She tells him about the nonprofit, the accessibility initiative, the talks and workshops, the lives changed. Judge Caprio listens, nods, smiles. I'm not surprised, he says when she finishes. I saw something in you. Potential. You just needed someone to push you. You pushed me. You could have just fined me. Let me pay and leave. But you didn't. Because fines don't teach lessons. Experience does. And you were capable of learning. I could see that. Thank you. For seeing that. For believing I could change. You did the changing, Sienna. I just pointed you in the right direction. She stands to leave, then turns back. Your Honor, can I ask you something? Of course. Why did you become a judge? He thinks about it. Because I believe in second chances. I believe people can grow. I believe that justice isn't just about punishment. It's about rehabilitation, transformation, making things right. You made things right for me. You saved me from becoming someone I would have hated. Then my job is done. Sienna leaves the courthouse. The sun is setting. The city is beautiful in the golden light. She sees it differently now. Not just the buildings and streets, but the people, the accessibility features, the ramps and curb cuts and designated spaces. She sees a world that's slowly becoming more inclusive, more thoughtful, more just, and she knows she played a small part in that. All because 6 years ago, she made a terrible choice, and a wise judge gave her a path to redemption. Justice isn't always about punishment. Sometimes it's about education, about opening eyes, about giving someone the tools to become better. Judge Frank Caprio understood that, and because he did, Sienna Whitmore got a second chance. A chance to learn, to grow, to serve, to matter in a way that transcends privilege and status. Money can buy many things. Designer clothes, expensive cars, luxury experiences. But it cannot buy character. It cannot buy empathy. It cannot buy the satisfaction of knowing you made a difference. And in Judge Frank Caprio's courtroom, it definitely cannot buy justice. Because justice is about fairness, about equality, about holding people accountable regardless of their last name or bank account. Justice is about teaching lessons that last, about giving consequences that transform. That's what Sienna Whitmore learned. And that's a lesson worth remembering.